welcome to a new video. If you're new here, my name is Jim and I run Cup of Coffee Crochet. You may have seen me over on Instagram or on Etsy with my little tiny crocheted earrings. Today we're going to go talk about Mother's Day gifts, because if you're watching this on the day it comes out, it is 1 week until Mother's Day. I think everyone has Mother's Day next weekend, but if not, just save this video and come back to it when it is. So I'm going to talk about some inspiration for your Mother's Day gifts, and then I'm going to go make my own at the end of the video, and stick around to find out what I make. And Mum, if you're watching this, please watch this later. Don't watch this now, watch this after Mother's Day, once you get your gift. But hopefully for you guys this is still enough time for you to be able to make something lovely for your mom or parent, whoever you're celebrating this day with. So I've got a pile of my own projects here that I'm going to share as inspiration, and then I've also created a Pinterest board on my newly created Pinterest account under my Cup of Coffee brand name. I've also linked that down below if you want to go check it out and find some further inspiration. Most of these ideas can be done in 1 or 2 sessions, some are a little bit bigger than others. You might already have these yarns in your stash, or they should be fairly cheap to buy because they should only need 1 or 2 skeins. Hopefully this gives you a jumping off point if your mom or parent is really hard to buy or make for, as I know mine is. Yes, let's get started. I've broken it up into a few categories. So the first one we're going to talk about is wearables and accessories. So for my Southern Hemisphere friends, we are heading into winter, and so the best gift you can give at the moment is something warm. So that could be things like a beanie or a scarf. Beanies are quite quick to make. So there are so many crocheted patterns out there. I know Cheyenne Barton, the YouTuber, has done a crocheted beanie tutorial in the past, and I think it was quite easy, so I'll link that down below. I haven't made it myself, but it seemed like a very nice, concise tutorial, so that would be a great option. Obviously there's also scarves. There are so many different types of scarves you can make. You can make just the classic straight scarf, just back and forth rows until you get the length you want. This one is knitted, but you can make the exact same effect with crochet. I would probably recommend a thicker yarn and a half double crochet stitch, just to make it a bit quicker for you since you've only got a week. You could go a little bit more intricate, so I've also got this one here. This is crocheted, but I didn't use a pattern. I found a tutorial for this wave stitch, and then I just repeated it and changed the color every 2 rows until I was happy with the length. And this is a really cute scarf. I think the waves just add a little bit extra, just a little bit of an extra detail. Again, I would recommend a thicker yarn because this did take quite a few weeks to finish because this is a really thin yarn. But I did use half double crochets for this. And so with a thicker yarn it would be quite a lot quicker, I think. Granny square scarves are also quite a trend as well, so those are really cute and they should be pretty easy to make. Off the top of my head, I know both YouTubers, Well Love Knits has made one in the past. I'm not sure if she made a pattern, but she definitely has made one, and you can go check her scarf out. And I also know that Crochet by AK, I believe, she also made a scarf pattern as well. She made one for Valentine's Day, I believe, because they're granny squares but they have little hearts in the middle, which was really cute. I really liked that. And if you're feeling really adventurous, you can go a little bit more intricate like this one. I never quite finished this because I think I ran out of yarn, but it has a really cool stitch, and then it's broken up into these little panels. This was really simple, but it did take a while because it was a really thin yarn and it's quite an intricate stitch. Scarves in general do take a lot longer than other projects, so only start on a scarf if you know you have enough time. On the topic of winter, there is also the option of gloves or mittens. And these only took like maybe 2 days to make. They're actually really quick. And again, thicker yarn is quicker the project. So moving more into summer, bucket hats or sun hats are a really great option. I made one recently and I also made a video about it as well. The video I made wasn't a tutorial, but I did kind of talk through my process if you are wanting to like freehand it like I did. So essentially I measured my head and I made a granny square and figured out how many granny squares I needed to fit the circumference of my head. and then joined them together, and then I made the top, and then I made the brim. So yeah, I made a video about that, which I will link down, link in one of the top cards if you wanted to check it out. But I really love this hat, and you can also customize it so easily because you change the colors and you change the vibe kind of thing. This one, it's not a very wide brim, but it is definitely more of a sun hat than a bucket hat, I would say, just because, I mean, it doesn't look like it here, but I'll insert a picture of me wearing it. It does stick out a lot more than a bucket hat would, which is what I was going for, because I don't think I would really suit the really tapered brim of a bucket hat. But yeah, this is really cute. It only took a couple days, 2 days maybe, to make this, and that was with me frogging it and putting it back together because I kept stuffing it up. So if you used a pattern, obviously it would be a lot faster because you were working to specific measurements and stitch counts and all of that, so all of that math is already figured out for you. Along the same lines, you could also make a bandana or a headscarf or that kind of thing. I made one really simple one here. Essentially, this is just a half granny square stitch. So I just googled a tutorial of how to make the half granny square, and then I added a half double crochet or a double crochet, I can't remember which, but just to make a really long string to tie it up at the back. And then I also added a scalloped edge as well. And so this was really easy to freehand. Again, there's really great patterns out there. There's also really beautiful intricate patterns, and because this is such a small thing, I don't think it would take too long to make an intricate pattern. And there's also a lot of really cute like granny square ones where they attach all the little granny squares into a triangle, and some of them have like toadstools on them or little granny square flowers, and they turn out so cute. But obviously you could make it as simple or as intricate as you want, depending on your mum or parent's style. If you're looking for something really simple and just small, scrunchies would be a great idea if your mum or parent has long hair. So they can either be knitted or crocheted. I've seen patterns for both. The velvet yarn is really popular for those at the moment. I've seen a lot of crocheted scrunchies made out of the velvet yarn, but there's also ones like this which are cotton yarn, or you can make them, I've seen really big, really lovely ones made out of mohair, which is really beautiful. I really want to make one of them at some point. In terms of other sorts of accessories, obviously bags are a great option. A lot of them don't take much time. I have made a lot of bags in the past, but I have given most of them away. But this is one of the ones I made, and I've made a couple of these and given them away to friends. They honestly don't take very long. So I found this one on Pinterest a really long time ago. I'll see if I can find the pattern. I'm sure it still exists somewhere. It was just free on a website, I'm pretty sure. But essentially it's just this scalloped pattern, and you just make a really long tube and then close it at the bottom and then add the straps. If you're going to make this pattern, I would recommend using a much more structured yarn than what I use, because it did end up stretching out and I don't really use this bag because of it. Or I would just account for that and make shorter straps. I just made this with scraps that were in my stash. It didn't take much yarn, maybe like half a skein of each color, if that, honestly. There really isn't much crochet to it. A really beautiful option. And obviously there's a lot of other market bags that are mesh, or like the classic granny squares. There's a really beautiful one, I'll put it on the screen, of just like quite round with a big flower in the middle, quite small, and then you add the straps. Or you can do just two big granny squares and then attach it with just an edging and turn that into the straps as well, or the classic smaller granny squares attached together. There are so many options out there. The world is your oyster with bags, honestly, and they're such a great gift. They're so versatile. Everyone can use a crochet bag, honestly. And I can't make one of these videos without giving a shout out to my own earrings and my own tutorial. Obviously, I am a big fan of crocheted earrings, and they're perfect gifts, honestly. Obviously, I do have an Etsy store if you wanted to purchase some. They're probably not going to get to you by the time Mother's Day comes around. But I do have a tutorial if you wanted to give it a go yourself, and I would love more people to get into micro crochet. I have a generalized micro crochet tutorial which shows you granny squares, and then I have another one that makes these earrings once you're a little bit more comfortable with micro crochet, which you can either make the 3-tiered version, or you can just take one of those little pieces and turn it into a much smaller earring. Yeah, so I will link both of those tutorials down below. Honestly, It is such a great little craft. It really doesn't take up much room in your house and it makes such great gifts. It can be a little bit fiddly, so it might take you a few goes to get used to it. You do have to figure out how to hold the yarn a little bit differently than you would with crochet, but it is all the same stitches, so if you know how to crochet, you can micro crochet. Steffi Glaves has a lot of great patterns on her Etsy store, and they also work in regular size crochet as well. It doesn't have to be micro, and vice versa. If you find a really lovely crochet pattern that you would like to make into a micro crochet earring or something, or just to have as a small little thing, in general, 9 times out of 10, if it works in big crochet, it will work in small crochet. Go wild, see what you can create in micro crochet and turn them into earrings, and they're such a special gift. Like, people are always so interested seeing my earrings, because a lot of people haven't heard of micro crochet before or haven't like thought of it as a thing. And if I'm wearing granny squares, they're like, oh my god, is that crochet? That's amazing. Okay, so that's the end of my plug for my earrings. The tutorial's there down below if you would like it. Let's move on to home decor and accessories for your house. Okay, so first up is one of my first things that I ever loved crocheting, which is coasters. These are so versatile, and I have so many different types. I went so hard when I was first learning how to crochet. I loved them so much because they were so easy and quick to do. So these are ones I started out with. I've got a set of 6 of these, which we used on our dining table for quite a long time. I should probably wash them, but honestly we used these for about a year and they're actually not that bad. I think a lot of people get scared that crocheted coasters would get quite dirty, and like obviously if you spill coffee on this, it is going to stain. But especially if you use a dark color, you can't really tell. So if you are making crochet coasters, I probably would recommend using a darker color just in case you do worry about staining. I definitely recommend cotton. All of the coasters I've made are cotton. And I think I would recommend using a thicker yarn than what this is. This was, I don't know what the equivalent is it a fingering weight? It was a size 4mm crochet hook, so a very thin yarn, and it makes quite a thin piece, so there isn't actually much protection for your table if you are worried about your table getting ruined. So these are a thicker one that I've made. This was Erickson's yarn. I'll put it on the screen, I can't remember what it is, but these were perfect for coasters. Super thick yarn, and really it has it's a really thick barrier between your table and your hot coffee or hot tea, so it works really well. And I have a very similar one that we're using on a table at the moment. I think this one was the Lily Sugar and Cream, and so this one's kind of a mandala. It works perfectly with my nails. Can you tell I like this color? But yeah, so we've got this one here, which I really like. It's really nice and simple. This one's a little bit less thick, but still quite a good barrier between your table and your coffee. And then you can also make like little flower squares. I made quite a few of these as well. And then something I've made quite a few of recently, and I'm thinking of making quite a few more, are these. If you can't tell, I really like this wavy stitch, but I was making coasters out of them. Kind of like mug rugs, I guess, because they're a bit longer. But I think these are really effective, and I think they're really cute on the table. And you can obviously make them as colourful or as classic as you want. Any colour, like these could be bright stripes or just like this, of quite neutrals. I think they work well in both. But yes, that's coasters. And then on the same vein, I think it could be a really cute idea if you were to make coasters, and then for Mother's Day and then for a birthday or Christmas you could make matching placemats. Or you can make, if you've got enough time, you could make the whole set for Mother's Day. That would also be really cute. Again, there's so many patterns out there. I've put quite a few in my Pinterest board. Another great home decor crochet thing is wall hangings, or wall art. I've made a couple, and we've got a couple in our house at the moment. I've got one that I'll put a picture on the screen of, or a clip or whatever. Which is pretty much just the same as the coasters, but I've made 3 of them, and the colors kind of alternate as it goes down. It's really simple and really easy to make. Honestly, I really like how it looks on the wall. I've got it hanging up with a few other like decorative pieces, and I think it works really well. And I've also, if you can't tell, I like the pattern for these coasters because I also went and made another wall hanging for it. which is a 9-piece wall hanging where I just essentially made 9 coasters and tied them together and hung them on a wooden dowel and made a string to hang it up with, and I also think that is really effective as well. It's quite a lot of colour on my wall, which I really like. But there are so many different versions. You can make like little vines, or you could just make a big old granny square and attach that to a wall, a dowel, and hang it on the wall. You could just do a whole lot of little circles or like little hearts. Pretty much the sky is the limit. There's a lot of patterns out there, but also you could just go hard and just invent something new. Along with other home decor, you could also make a pillow. I've seen some really fun ones. You could go either really simple with like granny squares, just put in a pattern and then insert a pillow inside. This might take a little while because pillows can be quite big, and if you also have to do the back, then that is quite a lot of crochet. If you sew, you could also just do the front panel with like granny squares or whatever you want on the front panel, and then do a sewn like just a material backing. I don't sew, so I don't know how easy that is, but I'm sure it's pretty simple and straightforward. If you have a sewing machine and you know what you're doing, you could add a zipper or just like close it up with buttons or something. Lastly, in the home decor for those heading into winter, a hot water bottle cover I think could be really fun. I really want to make one of these. You could either just do like granny squares or like the granny square stitch, but just straight. And then our final category, which is bookworm. I didn't know where else to put this in my other categories, so I made it its own category instead. So this has things like bookmarks. There are obviously so many different ideas for bookmarks. The possibilities are literally endless. There are lots of different types where you've got like a flower at the top and then just like chain stitch and then a leaf at the bottom, just like either end of the book to keep it in. Or you can do tiny little granny squares. I would recommend quite a thin yarn for this, I think, because using quite a thick yarn would maybe bend the pages a little bit too much. I don't know. Another option would be a book cover. I have made one of these myself, and it's one of my favorite things I think I've ever made, which is this guy. It has a little cover at the front, and it has a little flap that flaps open. I made this for one very specific book, so I'm sure there's plenty of patterns out there, but I guess the only risk is that varying thicknesses or sizes, it's not going to fit. Like, it's not a one-fits-all kind of deal. It's very specific to the book that you're reading. I'm sure there's plenty of other ones on the internet that are maybe a little bit more versatile than the one I made. Obviously, this could be also for a Kindle. This would be great for a Kindle, just to keep it a little bit more protected. Even like a laptop sleeve or something like that, or an iPad sleeve. I will warn you that I did make this to protect my book in my bag, but it does still get very scratched, because like, if you have something like a pen or like a ruler, it will just go straight through the holes of a granny square. Maybe if it was like more of a solid stitch, it might work a little bit better. And I really like the colors. This was all just made with scraps out of my stash. Yeah, I didn't use a pattern, but it's pretty easy to freehand. If you're doing it for like a Kindle or a laptop or an iPad, obviously the dimensions are out there and pretty easily accessible. They're all quite thin, so you probably wouldn't need the edging, but just like attaching these two like straight together should do the job pretty well. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything that I wanted to talk about for inspiration. And then let's quickly talk about what I'm going to make my mom. So I mentioned my love for coasters, but I've never made my mom any because she is a little bit hesitant about them getting stained and dirty, which is fair. But I'm still gonna make them because I love them. So I have made a little bit of a start here. So I've got 3 of these. I'm using quite a thick yarn. So the yarn I'm using is by a brand called Abbey Road, and the yarn is called Kung Fu Cotton. I've never seen anyone use this brand, I don't think. Yeah, okay. I've read the back. It's made only for Spotlight, which I think is only in New Zealand, Australia, and Singapore potentially. So yeah, it's only in those countries, but obviously a thick cotton will do. So yeah, I'm using a 5mm hook with these and just quite a simple pattern, which is pretty much the exact same as what I use for this. They're a little bit smaller because the yarn is a little bit thinner than this, but yeah, the exact same pattern. And then I will also be making some little earrings for Mum. She doesn't have her ears pierced. I did find some clip-on backings. I don't think they're going to be the easiest to use, so if mom doesn't use them, then that's fine. But I think I'm just going to make some little, as she doesn't really wear earrings, so I'm going to make something very small. And I can't remember exactly what she said she wanted, but I think sunflowers would look really cute. She's got really dark hair, so I think just like a really simple little sunflower that's on a hook would look really cute. So that's my plan. I will check in again once I've finished these guys. Hi, new day. I didn't quite finish these off last night, but they are now done. Oh, there's like a line down my face. I did end up changing my mind about the sunflowers just because my mom doesn't really wear a lot of yellow, so I thought red would go with a lot more of the colours that she generally wears, and these might be a little bit more subtle than the really bright yellow. And I feel like she's commented on this design in the past and said that she really likes these, so hopefully she likes these. This is what they look like on. It looks very Christmassy with my green jumper. So they're not too big, but they are a bit big. They are quite big for someone who doesn't wear earrings very often. Yeah, I don't know how much she'll wear them, but yes, let's just add some jewellery and we can package them and send them off. And so these are the clip-on earrings I'm going to use. Clip-on earrings are just so hard to find. I haven't been able to find any locally here in New Zealand at all, like not cheap quality or expensive quality, neither. And they're like, they kind of look hard to use, so we'll see if mom uses them. Yes, here we go. They are connected. They're not sitting forwards as much as I would like them to. They're kind of going all over the place, but I don't want to just attach this straight to there because then it will just like hang kind of awkwardly, whereas this like swings nicely. They're not the greatest. I would like to try and source some nice quality clip-on earrings because I have had some requests from people in the past who would like some clip-on earrings, but I just can't find any good sources for them. So if anyone uses clip-on earrings and has a good place of getting them that will ship to New Zealand, I would love to know. I tend to get all my other jewellery pieces off Etsy because that is pretty much the only place I can find them. Nowhere locally in New Zealand or even Australia really seems to source what I'm looking for. So that is the best resource I can find. So if anyone knows any stores on Etsy that sell clip-on earrings, to be fair, I haven't really looked very hard. I've only had like cursory looks at stores that I have bought from in the past, but I've not actually looked on Etsy just for clip-on earrings. Now those are done, we can go package them and send them off to my mom. Okay, well that concludes today's vlog. I have my little package here. I wrote on the top of the box and it didn't end up quite as neat as I wanted to, but maybe I'll add some more to it just to make it look a bit more full. I'm also going to write a card and include that, and then I'm just going to send this off to my mum. Thanks ever so much for watching. If you liked this vlog, please leave a like and comment down below. Also feel free to tag me over on Instagram at Cup of Coffee Crochet if you take any photos and post them on Instagram. I'd love to see them. If you'd like to go the extra mile in supporting me, I do also have a coffee page where you can buy me a coffee and I'll shout you out in the next video. That is also linked down below, and it just goes a little extra mile to help support me. Please subscribe if you want more content like this. I have a lot of things planned for the future and a lot of videos in the works. But other than that, I will see you in the next one. Bye!